We heard you would be here. I'm Ed. When I was about 2, plunking around on the piano, my babysitters played Elvis records when they would come to babysit, and I would sit there and plunk out and find the melodies one by one, finger, one finger, like that. And that was about 2, 2.5.
Really?
And yeah, so I remember that. Well, it's like I always had this foundation in understanding harmony and melody from the piano, and yet I was drawn to be a drummer. And so that kind of then came together as playing marimba and vibes, And I'd never really developed any facility on the piano, but a full understanding of harmony. And then I had the facility on the marimba and vibes to be able to play all the jazz and different changes and chords and all that kind of stuff. See, I always just followed the muse. I didn't make professional plans. I didn't use the cerebral cortex in planning a career. I was just following the music. I just loved the music, so I went all through music school and just, oh, this is great. We're playing Stravinsky's Rite of Spring. This is great. We're playing like some big band stuff. Here's great. This, we're playing experimental music, John Cage, and And then from there I went after college I went directly into Zappa's band and touring, and all of a sudden shot into this position of where people kind of knew who I was. I mean, it didn't sink in until I'm driving home from Frank's house that night after just this gig happens. I drive home and I'm realizing, Jesus Christ, I'm in Frank Zappa's band. I consider myself a drummer, but I got the gig as the mallet player. And so just thinking, I better get serious about this mallet thing, man. This is international and shit. I gave him the most vital years of my life, from age 22 to 33. And when you do Zappa, you have to live the music 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, partly because you rehearse it so much, you practice it so much, you're in the studio so much, and it's so infectious, and you have to practice it for so long to be able to perform it that it just gets in your head, and it takes a long time to get out of your head. It took a year or so after the last tour, it took a year or so just to get his music out of my head so I could remember my own music. But I've always composed, and so thankfully I've always written things down, and I would go back and look at stuff from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and go, I can't even remember writing that, but oh, it's good, and so that helped. I made a decision to stop touring in 1994 when my daughter was born. I wanted to be there for her growing up, not occasionally, but every day. And now that she's older, she's encouraging me, go back out on the road, go back traveling, because I've been turning stuff down for over a decade. And so I guess this is where it's going now. We did this drum festival last year, and Asani was on it. I was there, and I played. And this is the kind of thing you don't really understand, at least in my position, but somehow they caught some kind of vibe from me or something, and they came and asked me would I come to this thing, and I couldn't figure out why are they asking me. And I still don't quite understand why, but you just say yes to things that have a good vibration, and I'm a big Marley fan, so positive vibrations, you recognize that's where you should be, and if someone else is able to project the positivity of yourself back at you, that you can see it, and often it takes that, then it's you can't say no, because it's all just too positive.
Bruce Aitken.
Well, Bruce had such a really neat energy when we met him last year at the drum festival. He, I lovingly say this. He's like a big kid, just really excited about things.
I had to vote for Ed because, well, he's a nice guy and everything, and he means well. But I've got to get him off the island. He's the only competition I've got, and if he goes, then I'll win the $1 million. So, thank you.
Of course, we're very close to Bruce. I'm extremely close to Bruce and Gloria Jean. Just love them to pieces, and so that was sort of a natural fit.
It's really important for us to work with people that kind of get our music.
We just thought that he would bring a really great energy to the group. We wanted to work with people that we felt that we didn't want to hire somebody who was just a great drummer.
My cousin Claire Chamberlain told me that she remembered me playing not long after I was crawling, and I was always hitting on things. I don't recall that myself because I was much younger then. Being intrigued by sounds, I think drum things really intrigued me from the get-go. Rhythms, so, you know, my dad's jazz collection when I was really, really small. Well, I hung out at the church a lot when I was a kid, so I was always involved in the choir and all that stuff, but to play a musical instrument was the day that I met Roger McLaughlin, future, you know, bass player for the Little River Band and various other things. That's when it kind of struck me, this was for me. We got all the girls as well. We all just connected in a very, very spiritual and meaningful way, far more than I realised at the time. So anyway, on the way back to the airport or something, or on the way somewhere anyway, it was floated by one or the other about working together. Them working together. I wasn't aware that I was a part of this equation. But the next thing I know, you know, they're saying, look, Bruce, would you like to play drums and percussion on our new record? It shows my age. It's a record on the new CD. And I was, quite frankly, I was surprised and honoured and thrilled, and you know, I was like counting the days. It was, you know, I mean, the opportunity to work with Ed, I mean, that's just a dream come true for me. But the opportunity to work with Asani, that's a major dream for me. That's just like, this is awesome. This is, I believe this is probably the greatest album I've worked on, because it's just such an extraordinary musical collaboration. It's as somebody said, it's a tapestry of amazement.